Hello, welcome back tuning into today's video to the December month ahead forecast today. Going to have a look at what could be around the corner for the month, but we're just starting 2nd of December today, of course. Been another very warm month in November, so we'll review the November forecast and we'll also have a quick sneak peek at the end for January. Now, before I get on with that, just want to say about the ads. There's links to articles on most of the pages, so if you have a browse through widgets, if there's any articles that you're interested in, just click through and go off and read those articles when you finish at GazWeatherVids.com. There's green keyword ads on some of the pages. If you want to go over green keywords, they display ads, but you click through words, you go to Advertise website, supporting GazWeatherVids.com by doing that. There's a yellow ad unit that is contextual. It's mainly weather related, so if there's anything there that you're interested in, just click through. And Gav Shop is still open, so if you've got any Christmas shopping to do at Amazon, between now and Christmas, click through the Amazon banners in Gav Shop. Do your Christmas shopping at Amazon, but at the same time, Gav's Weathervids will get a royalty fee on the things that you're purchasing. Thanks so much for getting involved, thanks for doing that. So let's just quickly start off with the November, I should say, sorry, the November forecast. The November forecast is actually for a milder and wetter than average month, although I did think that possibly it won't be as mild as some of the months that we've been experiencing. It's quite a lot through the year. Actually, it was another exceptionally mild month. The central temperature came out at 8.6. This actually says provisional because it's not been updated yet, but I can tell you I've seen the final central temperature number on another page at the UK Met Office. It comes out at 8.6, an anomaly around 1.9, so say around 2 degrees above average. Another exceptionally mild month in this year of exceptionally mild warmth all months through the year, well above average, except for August, which was colder than average, but most months coming out mild than average, and many of them coming out around 2 degrees above average. We're on course, well on course, for the warmest year on record. It's going to take quite a cold December to offset that, so let's see whether there's any chance of a cold December. In terms of the Gaz Weathervids forecast for November, I think it's been a pretty good one, really. It was a wet month, it was a mild month, perhaps a little bit warmer than I was anticipating, but overall I don't think the forecast was too bad in November. So here's the 700 millibar height anomaly chart for December from a CFS V2 model. We've got deep trough low pressure with these blue colours around Iceland. We've got the ridge down to the southwest and the south of the country. The jet stream is coming across the Atlantic, quite a strong jet stream again, around that deep trough of low pressure up to the north. So it's a westerly sort of setup that's being signalled here by the CFS V2, and probably quite wet as well, really, with bands of rain coming in off the Atlantic. That ridge down to the southwest could be just close enough to keep some southern parts of the country a little bit dry, I think, but certainly in the northwest it could be quite wet. Quite a westerly month coming in. Could be sort of northwesterly incursions with this as well, so maybe not overly mild. It's perhaps not as mild as you would think looking at that setup, and the reason probably what would bring me air quite often from sort of a polar maritime source, though at other times we would be getting incursions from a tropical maritime source as well, so sort of alternating air masses. But temperature anomaly for the month is actually coming out near normal. Very warm up over Scandinavia, much milder than average month being predicted for them. The cold anomalies is down in the southeast of Europe, around the Black Sea, and going through towards Greece and Turkey. So the cold air is going down there. You've got a ridge over Scandinavia, and it's taking the cold down in the cold air down into the southeast of Europe. As I say, for us, the anomalies coming out really near normal, maybe indications of a little bit above average. So very slightly above average to near normal. That's the sort of temperature anomaly being predicted by the CFS V2. And in terms of the rainfall anomaly, near normal to a little bit wetter than average, particularly out in the northwest, and all of that is really what you'd expect with a sort of 700 millibar height anomaly being indicated there. So the CFS V2 going for average to a little bit above average with the temperatures, and average to a little bit above average with the rainfall, but not a big deviation in either terms, really, from the average. Here's the Bayesian Climate Centre. These are the 500 millibar heights broken down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period shows that we've got ridging out to the west of the country, deep trough of low pressure again around Iceland and Greenland, and bringing the westerlies through really across the Atlantic. I think that's a little bit too far north with that ridge. It should be a bit further south, but overall, yeah, it's sort of a westerly setup for the first 10 days and probably turning increasingly unsettled. As we get through to the next 10-day period, this one taking us from the 11th to the 20th, we stick a trough in there over the top of the country. That could be quite unsettled through the middle 10 days of December. Quite cool as well. The ridge is out in the Atlantic, so we could be putting some quite cool air down. Haven't got a great deal of blocking, but we could be pulling quite cold air down into that trough of low pressure. So maybe in the middle part of the month turns unsettled and quite cold. Could be some wintry conditions mixed in with that. We get through to the final 10 days, and the Beijing Climate Centre is seeing that the trough is still over the country. It's weakening, building a bit of a ridge down to the southwest, but also hints of building a little bit of ridging up over Greenland as well. I think what's going on there is that winds are probably reverting more westerly, actually, as opposed to the northerlies from the middle part of the month. Excuse me. So I think we're probably looking at relatively unsettled conditions, maybe drying out actually through the final 10 days over Christmas into the New Year. The temperature's probably reverting back towards a milder scenario. If anything, I think the winds are probably going more westerly as opposed to the northerly or northwesterlies from the middle part of the month. The overall temperature anomaly is coming out very similar to the CFS, really, around average, maybe a little bit above average, but close to normal, really, not deviating greatly from the average. The rainfall anomaly, precipitation anomaly, is coming out ever so slightly drier than average. It's around average really, but ever so slightly drier than average England, whereas maybe ever so slightly wetter than average for Scotland. That's a strange one because most of Europe actually having a wet month, being forecast to have a wet month there from the Beijing Climate Centre. So I think for the temperatures, we've got a good signal here for around average, maybe a little bit above average with the temperatures. Not such a great deviation from the normal as we've had in many of the months through 2014. I've said this a lot over the last few months, that we shouldn't deviate as much. I'm saying it again, and I've got more confidence in it for this month. I don't think we should deviate all that far from the average, but maybe coming out a little bit above average. For the rainfall, difficult to say, probably near normal. Actually, could be a little bit drier down in the south, a little bit wetter in the north. Finally, having a sneak peek at January. We've got the first 10 days of January here from the Beijing Climate Centre. This is going from the 1st to the 10th. And look at this, we're setting up quite a lot of blocking there over the polar field. Lots of orange colours showing up over Greenland and going to the north of Scandinavia as well. That's very extensive blocking being indicated there. Whether the Beijing Climate Centre is thinking that there could be some sort of sudden stratospheric warming across the polar field, I'm not sure, but certainly very vibrant orange colours beginning to appear there through the first 10 days of January. So we would need to see where that's going, because that sort of extent of blocking could start to turn things a lot cold if the cold air really starts to push out of the Arctic with that blocking. The CFS V2 for January looks like this, not nearly as interesting really. It's the same old, we've still got the trough there around the country, although it is shifting more towards the east, but we've got all these heights down to the south. So whilst it's trying to get itself into a cooler setup overall, because the ridge is down there across Spain and Portugal, the flow is still generally westerly, so it's not overly cold on that sort of a setup, although it could be transitional, so maybe a milder start and then becoming colder, something like that later on. But not a great deal of blocking being seen across the polar field, unlike what we saw just there for the first 10 days of January on the Beijing Climate Centre. So anyway, coming back to December, we'll leave January alone and worry about that when we get to it. Coming back to December, it looks as though we're going to have a closer to normal month. I've been saying this through most of these months this year, but they've been coming out around 2 degrees above average. I don't think we're going to get such a warm anomaly for this month. I think we're going to come out closer to average, maybe a little bit above average, but much, much closer to average. In terms of the rainfall, yeah, I think we're looking at near normal. I don't think that temperature coming out closer to average is going to be enough to stop 2014 being the warmest year on record. So I think we're going to get the record, going to be the warmest year since 1659. Most probably. You'll be hearing an awful lot about it at the end of the year. Going to be very significant. there'll be lots of stories in the papers and on the news about this if it comes off. So I don't think the December anomaly, whilst a little bit cooler than we have had it through most of this year, I don't think it'll be enough to offset breaking that record. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.